You're just like battling for market share because it's like you're marketing to all the same people.
And it's just a damn tumbler.
Like, it's not that special.
The Stanley Cup? No.
Everyone has a freaking Stanley Cup.
No, but it's a Yeti. I'm like, oh my God. It's the same damn shit.
That's what I'm saying. The cup is the cup is the cup. It all does the same thing.
Oh, Victoria, I am a work in progress.
There's so much left on the table.
I'm good at dumb, stupid, simple. That's how I created the fabulous framework.
I love Fab. I love Fab.
John, the sales machine, Rankins.
Why do some businesses choose to go with certain CRMs over another? Is because what a lot of these companies have done really well is they've like niched down to serve a specific sector, right? A specific vertical, and they've gone all in. And the end user doesn't really realize that it's all the same shit, right? So yeah, I mean, like Salesforce has a name behind it, right? And so a lot of bigger corporations use Salesforce, but the functionality of Salesforce could also work at a dentist, but the dentist chooses to go with the CRM that's for dentists. And the real estate people choose to go for the CRM that's for real estate people. Now, yeah, there could be like little tweaks that make it like tailored to that specific industry, but more or less, it's all the same shit. So I feel like when you go and you're trying to give any product that is industry agnostic or can serve everyone, people's heads tend to not be able to wrap themselves around it. But if you go and you're like, listen, and I'm not saying that you have to do this forever, but I would say pick one segment that you could go all in on, right? That you're going to tailor your website, all your comms, everything. And you're going to say, all right, give yourself a target. I'm going to stick with this segment until I reach X amount of revenue. And then know that I've kind of like capped out the opportunities there. Because a lot of folks, what they tend to do is like, they want to talk to everyone. They want to capture all the opportunities. But the problem is that you're not actually talking to anyone. What you really want to happen is when a prospect goes to your website, they're like, oh, this is for me. They get me. They know what my needs are. And that's where that narrowing down becomes really helpful. Because again, there was actually like a study that was done that I had seen by one of these brand agencies that I follow. And basically what she had done and taken like 5 or 6 websites for CRMs and like took the logo away. And the idea here was that like, they're so interchangeable, but what happens is that you're just like battling for market share because it's like you're marketing to all the same people. But when you decide to kind of narrow down and go deep, like let's go deep into one segment and you're just speaking to them, you'll be able to get a strong hold with that one segment and you'll be able to more easily communicate all of these features. So let's say that you're like, I don't know, let's pick someone that has like a big sales force. Give me an example of your favorite kind of client.
I'd say insurance companies. They got money.
Insurance. There we go. You are the premier, right, system for insurance agencies and their agents. Why? You can put an angle on any of the features that your product has, tailored specifically to these people. And you can dig into their pain points because insurance agencies have very specific pain points that are going to be quite different than, mattress companies, for example, right?
Yeah, they have retention problems.
Well, exactly. You got to, especially it's like, okay, what do people think of insurance salesmen? There's so many creative things that you can do that will play to the insecurities of the individual agent, right? Because that individual agent is going to have different insecurities and things that hold them back from making the sales than someone that's selling Cutco knives, for example, right? It's a totally different psychological game. So once you start tailoring all your message and communication to solving that problem for that one group, and of course, like the total tangible market for insurance companies is gigantic. Like the opportunity is ginormous. You can make a shit ton of money just going into balls to the wall with this one vertical, right?
Victoria, I'm falling in love with you.
But I'm saying, like, this is the problem. That's what holds people back, is that there's this fear that, yes, like a lot of what we create, you know what, it's so funny because I just this morning, I was talking to someone that gave me the example of the Stanley Cup. Okay. The Stanley Cup, it's like everyone's got this freaking Stanley Cup. I don't know if it made it to Manila. You know what I'm talking about?
The Stanley Cup? No.
Okay. All right. Well, you've been saved from it. You just Google it when we get off. So it's just like a freaking container that holds your water and keeps it cold. Like every other thing that retains its chilliness or its warmth. Like it's not that special. And till about a couple of years ago, it was like only like mechanics and like construction workers had these kinds of cups. And they had like a sizable business, right? But they were just, they had kind of just like, listen, we've established our spot here. We've done all we can with this. And we're making, $80, $100 million and we're gotten a good business, right? But they've like quadrupled their revenue in the past like year because they said, you know what, now we're going to go balls to the wall on this segment and we're going to target housewives. And we're going to do it in cute colors. And let me tell you, everyone has a freaking Stanley Cup in all the different colors. There's even subsidiary, like ancillary businesses that have popped up to be like warmers for your straw on the freaking Stanley Cup. Everyone has them. And they're like $60. They're ridiculous. And they
My brother years ago, I brought all my family to Asia, gave them vacations and stuff like that, just because I want to see them and I'm too busy. So I just, hey, come and see me. My brother's like, yeah, can you get me some Yeti cups? And I'm like, what's a Yeti cup? Because I've spent 30 years in Asia. I don't know what a Yeti cup is. And then he came out and he goes, a Yeti. And I'm like, no, I don't know a Yeti. And it's just a damn tumbler. I'm like, dude, man, it's just a tumbler. No, but it's a Yeti. I'm like, oh my God.
This is so tumbler. Gorgeous. You're going to get me. Because in Asia, we have, go ahead, I cut you off.
And so now there was one on Shark Tank. I love watching Shark Tank. I laugh my ass off on different, because my mind is always working. There's this now, there's one called Coldable. Like it just keeps stuff colder. It's the same damn shit.
That's what I'm saying. And this is such an interesting study in what we're talking about, because like, okay, so in Asia, you're going to get this, right? So when people come over from overseas and you're living in Asia and they want to go to like the fake market, right? Because I'm sure in Manila, they got fake markets, right? Just they got.
Sure. The knockoffs.
The knockoff market, right? And they're amazing. But there comes a point where you're at the knockoff market and you see all this shit that people go wild for because like back in the States, it's something like the Yeti Cup or the Stanley Cup. But if you went to the fake market and you saw these names, they would be interchangeable to you. They'd have no meaning. It's all the same shit, because when you remove the label, you understand like the cup is the cup is the cup. It all does the same thing. But here's where this is where it diverges. It's all about the communication. It's like, who are you serving? And it's the same damn cup in the same damn colors, but we're solving the problems of this specific client in this specific way. And so we're tailoring all of our communication, the website, the socials, the copy, everything is speaking into the lives of this person. And when you're speaking into the lives of a specific individual and they feel like they get you, that brand gets me. They're going to fix, they believe that that's going to fix their problem because you're speaking to them. And the problem is if you don't decide on who you're really going after narrowly, if you're not speaking to that one person, you're trying to speak to everyone, you're really speaking to no one. And so it becomes more difficult to convert.
Yeah, Jay Abraham, it's one thing a lot of people say they know shit, right? And there's a lot of full of shit marketers out there. That's the fact, yes. Right? And everybody can be a coach today. Everybody can be a marketer today because we have unlimited resources to do it. However, when you listen to people like yourself, or a Jay Abraham says, if you want to be incredibly successful at marketing, you've got to be able to explain people's problems to them better than they can explain it themselves. And when you can do that, that's when you can scale your business. So I'm 100% in alignment. Doesn't know that I'm aware of that, but doesn't mean I know how to do marketing. Like, you want me to build and scale a sales team for you? Come on. Come on. Been doing that for 30 years. Yeah, I can do it in my sleep. And now I've automated it with the sales machine. Like, you seriously want to build and scale? No problem. I got you. However, marketing, oh, Victoria, I am a work in progress. If you're enjoying this episode and you're picking up what I'm putting down and what the guests are actually putting out there, do me a favor, like and comment what you liked about the episode, or even comment what would you like to hear, what topics would you like to hear in the future, because believe me, it matters. I read absolutely every single one of them, and I want to bring you more and more value to help companies scale so that we can grow this podcast to make a bigger difference. Now let's get back to the show.
Well, you know what? It's so interesting because it's so similar, though. Because when you're face to face with a prospect trying to close a deal, it's a similar situation. You're going to use kind of psychology, or just sort of like your own human understanding of how people work. And you're going to make that connection with that prospect. And marketing is doing the same exact thing, right? You're going to do objection handling, right? You're going to be painting the picture, right? You're going to be, you're basically, you're selling the transformation, regardless if you're selling dental floss or you're selling a SaaS product. Sales that's why I love what we're talking about, this machine thing, because it's like these principles are industry agnostic, right? But the process of sales, it's like we go through this process where we know we need to do all these things to create the desire, to handle the objections, to show that transformation, to make them feel confident buying with all that stuff. So when we're doing it in marketing, we're doing it just kind of on a more macro scale. And the problem with the only unifying difference is that idea of the segmentation, because you take the one person that you're with face to face, and then you say, okay, we're going to take that person and we're going to create the avatar of that person. And that's who we're going to talk to in all of our marketing. So it's really like, if you're going from the sales perspective, it's like, take the person that you love selling to, that when you're face to face, it's easiest to sell to them, right? That they get it, right? That they're literally your ideal client. That's why we say this shit, right? But we're going to take that and we're just going to say, okay, now we're going to take this person, this character, and everything we do in marketing is just talking to that person, as if the conversation we were having one-on-one, or the scripts we were giving our sales team. And that's how you start. Right now, obviously, when you're huge and you sort of are big enough where you're like, hey, I've tapped out this segment. I've gotten as far as I can with this one segment. I've hit everyone. Now I'm ready to get into a different segment. The problem is that most people, there's so much left on the table with one segment, and they don't go deep. They try to go wide. So maybe they get a little traction, and instead of going deeper and deeper and deeper into that, which there's a lot of riches down there, they're like, hey, let me just make this like ancillary product or this other thing for someone else because I can, right? Oh, I think I could do this and that makes sense. No, it's just how deep can you go with that one segment? Because there's so much there. You can't even imagine. I love using this example because it's such a great reminder of this. So I have one founder that I work with. It's a roofing company, okay? It's a woman that's in a roofing company, right? Talk about like something that no one thinks about. And she's in my accelerator program. I have like an accelerator program where I work hand in hand with founders, and I show up with them it's like having a marketing coach, marketing director in with them. But instead of being, like a course, I'm like hands-on with them, right? I meet with them every week. So I'm in there with her, and she's telling me about all these organizations she's a part of for women in roofing. And I'm like, how does that exist? She's like, there are thousands of people across the country that are in this women in roofing. And we do all of these projects, and there's conferences just for us, and there's different chapters. And I'm like, and so she told me the story about this financial advisor that came to talk to her group. And the financial advisor was a financial advisor, could be a financial advisor for anyone. But this woman ended up like 10x'ing her business because she positioned herself as an expert for women in construction. I mean, incredible. Like you wouldn't even imagine that segment existed. But there are riches in the niches, as they say, right? Because this woman needs a financial advisor. But it's like these people need, so I mean, you can really hone it together where you're like, okay, this is a woman in roofing. She can go with like a generic financial advisor. They're all going to tell the same thing. But no, she's going to want to go with the financial advisor that knows her business, like that knows her specific needs, the kind of insurance she needs and all of these things. That's like where you can go deep and deep and deep.
I came up with an acronym to make us fabulous. A lot of people talk about features and then, you know, marketers said you got to talk about benefits or a lot of internet people. But when you're in a SaaS sales room and you've got 4 or 5 people in there, you got geeks, you got IT people, and you know what they care about? They don't care about the benefits because they're geeks. They care about the features, right? So then you've got other middle management, the people driving the organization, they want to know the advantages of your products over the competition, unlike others, right? So you've got to dial in the features. You got to know what are the advantages of your features that are unlike everybody else. And the founder, the owner, he don't give a shit about any of that. He only cares about the benefit. He only cares about the benefit, but you got to know your audience. You got to be able to read the room when you're making that sale or creating a new partnership. Because I don't believe it's about closing business. I believe it's about the beginning of a new relationship to have a sustainable, scalable business. It's all about service, right? I call it fabulous. Features, advantages, and benefits. Fab. It's fab.
I love it.
So if you really want to dial in your value proposition, like you're saying, it's just like in the boardroom, you've got to do that in your marketing. You got to be fabulous. You've got to know the features, the advantages, and the benefits because your audience could be the geeks looking at, doing the due diligence for the management, and the management wants to know the advantages so their ass doesn't get fired being status quo. And it's all about, at the end of the day, like a lot of people say a sales process can take 6 months in SaaS. And I'm like, bullshit. If you're talking to the owner and he understands the benefits, he'll say, fucking sign me up, John. Let's get it going.
Okay, but this is so juicy. This is so good because you can realize, right, all of those different stakeholders, right? This part of the decision, right? When you're going into sort of bigger organization, you have all of these different levels that you have to convince, right? But that is even a stronger argument for zooming out to look at this macro level and getting very dialed in on that segment. Because again, like the CTO, for example, for a telephone company is going to have different concerns and ideas and whatever than maybe the financial controller for a product-based business. I don't know. And so you have to understand is that when you're building all of these scripts and all of this communication strategies around like we're all talking the same language, right? It's going to be much easier, more effective to create all of that communication because you don't have to consider, in one decision, in one vertical, there's already so many people that's part of the decision, right? That you just mentioned. And so another thing that I see a lot of sort of growth startups making a mistake in is, again, when you don't narrow in, you're spreading your resources too thin, right? Like I've seen some SaaS businesses that, again, they want to capture everything. So they have all these different landing pages, right? It's like we serve educators, we serve, chefs, we serve scientists, right? Then it's like, here's what we do for scientists. So when your prospect comes to the site, they have to like work to figure out where they fit into this matrix. And listen, for some humongo organizations, like if you go to like a Gartner, for example, and they've got the brand awareness, they've got all the money, they've got all of the prestige. Yeah, people will take the time to filter themselves out. But if you're like a company that no one's ever heard of, you've got 3 seconds. It's like 3 seconds you have once people hit your website to have them understand that you can solve their problem and get them interested in talking to you and learning more. It's 3 seconds. And so we need to make it dumb, stupid, simple, that communication. And the only way we can do it is
I'm good at dumb, stupid, simple. That's how I created the fabulous framework.
I love Fab. I love Fab.
That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me today. And if you got value from this episode, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and refer a friend. And if you want even more value, go to thesalesmachine.com, click on resources, and there's tons of resources there to increase profits and drive performance in your business. Right on, come on.